Hello creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations, and I'm really excited to be doing this video for you guys today because we are participating in the Inspire, Create, Share blog hop, and this month's theme is celebration, of course. We are still going strong. Celebration goes until the end of this month, March 31st, 2019. And I am going to demonstrate some beautiful cards that were cased out of the celebration brochure with the amazing Hello Cupcake stamp set. This is a photopolymer stamp set that comes with these beautiful images. It is a celebration set only, and it's while supplies last. So if it is still available at the time that this video goes up, I will be sure to keep you updated in the description box below. However, there's also some coordinating products that you can get to go with this Hello Cupcake stamp set. And I'll put them on the screen for you to see. So we're going to go ahead and get started making these two cards for you today. And don't forget to click down in the description box to my coordinating blog post so that you can hop along to all of the other demonstrators that are participating in this month's blog hop. All right, let's dive in. We're going to start making this beautiful card today. I have a card base out of soft seafoam, and this piece measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I have scored it in the middle at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Whisper white cardstock here. This piece measures 2.5 by 4 1/4. And then I have a piece of Petal Pink, and this measures 1 inch by 4 inches. So the first thing we're going to do is get some stamping going, and I'm going to do so right on my background here. So to do that, I'm going to get my sprinkles out. So I'm going to grab these, and we'll stick them down onto one of our clear acrylic blocks. I'm going to use my bone folder to give my cardstock a crease. And because I'm stamping with the photopolymer stamps, I want to bring in my foam mat so that I get a really nice image. So I'm going to put that right under here like so. And I'm going to use the same color as the card base. So I want a nice tone on tone effect, kind of almost like a watermark effect. So we're going to use the soft seafoam ink. So we're going to pop that open. And you want to get kind of a cascading effect happening. So I'm going to start up in this corner, and then I'm just going to stamp all the way down this kind of diagonal here. And right off the edge of the card, just like that. All right. We're going to set that aside and bring in our Whisper white piece. We're going to start stamping our cupcake base. So I have my base mounted on my clear acrylic block, and I am using the color Soft Suede for this part. So we're going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp it about 1/2 inch or so from the bottom. We're going to stamp it right about there. And I'm trying to make sure that I line up the bottom of the cupcake liner and the little scribble here so that it's parallel with my card base, the bottom part here. There, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to place this. We're going to be stamping a sentiment on here, but I just want to get some placement so I know where to stamp my frosting. I'm going to stamp the frosting in some powder pink. So let's open that up and get that stamped. Now I'm using this just as a guide so I know where to place my frosting, and we're not going to stamp it right down onto the liner. We're actually going to stamp it up to make the cupcake look like it's elongated. So I'm going to take that piece just to kind of get a placement, and I want most of it covered at the little tip at the bottom there covered. So I'm going to kind of stamp it right above where that cupcake liner is. There we go. So then when I put my sentiment piece over, it just looks like a really tall cupcake. And using Berry Burst, we're going to stamp some sprinkles as well as our sentiment and the little cherry heart on top. So I have my sprinkles. We're gonna ink that up with that beautiful Berry Burst. Stamp that right onto our frosting. Have the little heart. Also, if you stamp it upside down, it kind of looks like a little cherry, but I'm gonna stamp it so the heart is facing up. We're gonna stamp that right over here, just like that. I'm gonna scoot that aside so that I can stamp on my pink cardstock. And before I stamp on this, I actually want to score some lines on it. So take your Stampin trimmer or whatever scoring tool you like to use, and we're going to stick this right in here. And this is 4 inches wide, so the first thing I want to do is bring it over to the 1 inch mark here. And with my scoring blade, I'm going to score that, and I'm going to flip it over and score it at 1 again. So now I have 1 inch on each side here. And now I'm going to line it up. I'm gonna line that score line up with the 1/4 inch mark on my trimmer, which is this line right here. You can see that. So lining that up with this first line right there, and I'm gonna score. So I'm essentially scoring at 3/4 and 1 inch off of each edge. All right, so before I fold this into and cut my banner edges, I want to stamp my sentiment. So I have Sprinkled with Love mounted on my clear acrylic block, and I'm going to stamp that in the Berry Burst. And I'm just lining up my inside score lines right here, so it's exactly 2 inches in between, so that I have a good placement in between there. And hopefully get it as close to the middle as I can. So I'm taking my banner, and with my snips, I want to cut a very shallow edge. If you have a banner punch or a banner die cut, you could definitely use that as well. But I am just doing a really quick thing here, and I just want to snip that right off. So no need to get out my punch or a die and my big shot. So I'm just gonna cut up and then cut in towards that cut. Just like that. Now to fold it, the very first score line closest to our sentiment, you're gonna fold this back, and then the second score line, you're gonna fold to the front. So you have your little banner cut edge, just like that. Do the same on this side, fold back, and then fold front. And you have a super adorable banner ready to go. So on the back of our cupcake, I'm going to add some dimensionals. And we're gonna put that off to the right, and I'm lining the top edge up, just like that. And now for our banner, on my first sample, I went ahead and I put some dimensionals back here. You can kind of see them right there. And I squished this down so you can kind of see how it curves like this. I'm going to do something a little different on this banner. I want it to kind of actually pop up a little bit more. So instead of putting dimensionals down in the middle, I'm actually going to put some snail on these two ends and just adhere it to the Whisper White. So I'm not going to take the snail out all the way. I just want it on the inside portion. If this is too difficult, you can definitely use glue dots. Those would work really well in this small area. All right, so now I'm just going to get that onto my card here. Rock it back and forth to get that press down. Now you can see it's a lot more popped up. There's a lot more dimension there than on the first card. You can see there. Very nice. All right. The finishing touch is to add some beautiful sequins. So in here, I have some basic adhesive back sequins, and I'm using the white sequins. I'm just going to use my snips to pick those up and sprinkle a few around. And there we are, creators. There's our first card using the Hello Cupcake stamp set. I am so excited about this card. I think it turned out so beautiful, and I really love the soft colors, and that pop of the soft suede really makes the cupcake stand out. All right, next up, we're going to make this cute little card here. This is a small note card. You can see for the size comparison, this is the standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this size measures 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. So you can kind of see the difference there. I really like the smaller cards just for sweet little notes here and there. So let's get started making this Sweet Wishes miniature card. So the cardstock that you're going to need to create this fun little card include some gorgeous Daffodil Delight cardstock. This piece measures 3 1/2 by 7, and I've scored it in the middle at 3 1/2. I also have a small square that measures 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. I have a small rectangle of Whisper White. This measures 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. I have a scrap piece of Whisper White. This is approximately 2 by 2 inches. We just need enough to stamp and cut out the frosting. And finally, I have a small piece of vellum cardstock. This measures 1 inch by 2 1/4 inches. We're going to start by stamping on our piece of vellum because we want to make sure that we give that a little bit of time to dry. So I'm going to set that down onto my sheet here, and I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black Stampin' Pad here. So I'm going to grab my sentiment. This is Sweet Wishes from the Hello Cupcake set, and we're going to stamp that right down into the middle of our vellum. All right, we're gonna set that aside so it can dry. And now we're going to stamp our cupcake. So I have my piece of Whisper White cardstock here that measures 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. We're going to start with the base. Here I have Tranquil Tide, so I'm going to pop that open, and that is going to be our cupcake liner. So we're going to ink that up and stamp it down. All right, so there's the cupcake base. So I can put my Tranquil Tide away. Now I'm going to get my fresh fig, and we're going to stamp the cupcake in that color. Now I know it kind of sounds a little odd having the actual cake portion purple, but it really does work with the colors in this card. And you're not going to see this very much because it's going to be behind the vellum. So I'm going to line that right up into that cupcake liner. And you can see that the cake kind of has little triangles that jut down, and that's so that it'll very nicely fit into that cupcake liner. And finally, we're going to scoot that aside and bring in our scrap piece of Whisper White so that we can stamp our frosting. We're going to stamp that in Lemon Lime Twist. And now with our snips, we're going to real quick fussy cut that out. Now, if you were to have purchased the Celebration Coordination cupcake framelets, you'd be able to just whip this right through your Big Shot. I don't have those framelets yet, so I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut, but that will save you so much time. Okay, I'm going to take some Stampin' dimensionals. I'm going to pop this frosting right up. And now with my Sweet Wishes, it is still a little damp. If you wanted to speed up the process, you could go ahead and blast it a little bit with your heat tool. I'm just going to go ahead and get it right down. And to adhere it, I'm just going to put a small amount of snail right at the edge, the bottom of my little cupcake guy here. So I'm just gonna line that up right in the center. And I want the sweet to be mostly on the top portion here. And I'm just gonna very lightly poke that down. There we go. So I can set that aside for a moment. I'm going to bring in my base and go ahead and give that a crease with my bone folder. We're going to use some washi tape on the background of our mat that's going to go on the front like this. So I'm going to get these two pieces of washi here. And now we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals right on top. And I'm actually putting the dimensionals straight onto the card base or the card mat because this sentiment is still wet and I really want to try not to mess it up too much. So I'm going to go ahead and put my dimensionals down first. All right, now I can put some snail onto my card base and pop that mat right on top. And now we're taking some of these beautiful embellishments from the Frosted and Clear epoxy droplets. So I'm going to take one large and one small right there. And that's it, creators. These cards are finished. I really hope you enjoyed this episode today. If you did, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you click that bell icon to be notified of future videos. You can follow me on the web at melissascreations.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/MKre8tions. I'm also on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle at MKre8tions. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to hop along to all of the other talented demonstrators in this blog hop to see more celebration inspiration. And I hope to see you again very soon. Bye.